Hi, and welcome to Community Report. I'm Pat Stern, and I'm filling in for Vicki Pritchard, who is the usual hostess for the show. Today, I'm very privileged to have as my two guests John Moore, who is the fire chief of the City of Mason, and Mr. Craig Bryant, who is the deputy fire chief. And we're real excited today to be talking about Fire Prevention Week, cooperation between firehouses and cost-saving measures that the department has undertaken. So we're going to get right into it. I know this is my favorite time of year, the fall, and it always reminds us that this is Fire Prevention Week. This year it's October 6th through the 13th, and I know the City of Mason has a lot of activities planned and information that you're going to try to get out to the community. So, Craig, would you like to tell us what's going on in the city that week?
Sure. Well, Fire Prevention Week is an exciting time for the fire departments all across the country. It really gives us a chance to interact with the public outside of the emergency setting.
Right.
It's a lot of interaction takes place, a lot of education can take place, and it gets the citizens, gives them an opportunity to get to the fire stations and ask questions and really learn about how to keep themselves and their families safe. So this year, what the theme is going to be is have two ways out. And that's going to mean look at your emergency plan that you have at your house or even your business and understand, do I have two ways out? If I have an emergency, a fire in my home, do I have two ways out? And there's all kinds of information out there available to be able to figure that out. And with the firefighters getting prepared for Fire Prevention Week, they're going to be handing out information on that. So the dates for Mason that we're going to celebrate will begin on October 7th.
Okay.
And on October 7th, that's going to be the kickoff of, we're going to have an open house starting from 12 to 6 p.m. And there the citizens or anybody is invited to stop by the fire station and take a tour. And also they'll get a chance to at one of our stations, because Mason has two fire stations, and we're going to divide up the time of...
so there'll be an open house at each station?
At both stations,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, at both stations from 12 to 6. And there'll be a safety house, the smoke safety house will be available at one station at the beginning of the Fire Prevention Week, and then we're going to move it to the second station at the end of the week. So the smokehouse will be available for people to go through and learn how to escape, how to get out of their house in the event that it does catch on fire. And then there's going to be information handed out about smoke detectors and where to put those smoke detectors, and also about escape plans. The rest of the week will consist of a open house from the hours of 4 to 8. But again, both stations will be open during that time, and there'll be somebody there to give tours, to answer questions, also to give out information about having two ways out, keeping your family safe. And also during the week, there's going to be what we call a smoke detector blitz, which I'll get into that in just a minute. To finish out the week with the education of two ways out, the smokehouse will be available at our next station, which is Station 52. At the beginning of the week will be Station 51, which is on Mason Montgomery Road. And then Station 52 will have the smokehouse at the end of the week, and that's on Cedar Village Drive. Same activities at both stations, just we only have the one smokehouse, and we have to put it at one station during that time
Now,
frame.
is the two-way out, is that a national theme, or is that just for the City of Mason?
That's the national theme.
The national theme this year.
Driven by the National Fire Protection Association.
The primary person that you're targeting is families, right, to come.
Correct.
So children, is there anything being done in the schools to promote Fire Prevention Week?
Well, the schools typically will have their own activity, and most of the time they contact us for to have a fire truck or an EMS crew come out and provide some educational talking points. You visit the classroom. We also do that with daycares, and that's scheduled on a as needed basis. You know, they call us and we'll schedule that. And then when we go and meet with the schools, the programs, we actually have programs tailored to the age group that we are speaking to.
Okay, great.
So they'll get something out of the program.
Right. Okay. So you had mentioned a little bit about the smoke detectors. Do you want to get into that right now? And let's talk about it, because I know a lot of people, they remember that theme, that national theme that when you turn your clocks back, fall back, you're supposed to change your batteries and all your smoke detectors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Change your clock, change your
batteries. Right.
Sure, a little catchy phrase that's easy to remember.
Well, I remembered it,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it works.
That's great. That's right. And that typically occurs in the fall. And what we encourage people to do is when you fall back, put a new battery in your smoke detector.
Right. Okay.
So with our smoke detector blitz, which will be going on during the middle of the week of Fire Prevention Week, we're going to target some neighborhoods in Mason where we've seen a higher number of fire responses. That doesn't mean there's houses that have burned down.
Right, right.
It's just where we've had to go for some reason for a fire response.
Okay.
And what we're going to do there is we've divided up the neighborhoods, and we're going to have fire crews go out and speak with the residents or anybody that comes through the door. We're going to give them information about 2 ways out, about smoke detectors, about fire safety, and then we're going to offer them a free smoke detector if they need it.
Oh, that's terrific.
Sure, and with the smoke detector, we will talk to them about the workings of the smoke detector. Then we'll
and placement, where to put it.
Yeah, we'll install it for them.
Oh, great!
If they
wonderful.
need a smoke detector, we will install it. And we also, if they have a smoke detector but need their battery changed, we'll be glad to assist with that as well.
Right. Now, that's a year-round thing. If people in the community, let's say they can't afford a smoke detector, or they're elderly and they can't reach it to change a battery, that's kind of an ongoing program, isn't it, during the year? I mean, they don't have to call 911 for that type of service, but that's something that the city does provide to the residents. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. For Fire Prevention Week, we're targeting, we have a number of, we're trying to reach 300.
Wow,
but
that's
throughout
good.
the year, that service is available to anybody that wants to call. They could schedule it with Fire Department administration or the on-duty officer, and they will put that on the schedule to go out, change the battery, or provide a detector if somebody needs it.
Great, great. And, you know, one of the things that I think that everybody who's listening to this program understands, as costs are going up in all of our communities, and a lot of communities are finding themselves in a position of having to lay off fire personnel and EMT. Talk to me a little bit about what the City of Mason is doing to put into place cost-cutting measures so that you don't have to get into that type of situation where we see a lot of communities who might not even be able to afford their police and fire departments anymore. And I know that the City of Mason's been very proactive in this area so you could avoid that type of a situation. So would you like to talk a little bit about what kind of cost saving, maybe this is this is your question, Chief, to talk about, you know, what you're looking at down the road to prevent any type of, because that's one of the things that we understand about our safety departments, police and fire. We certainly don't want to lose the numbers of responders. Right. And so what's the City of Mason doing to make sure that you're keeping everybody safe but yet keeping the costs down?
Well, I think part of what we do on a day-in, day-out basis is really look at what we're getting for what we're spending.
Right.
What's the bang for the buck in the service that's provided to the citizen? And about 3 years ago, there was a group of fire departments that got together and as a cost-saving measure, as an efficiency measure, as an effectiveness measure to form the Northeast Fire Collaborative.
Great.
Blue Ash, Sharonville, Loveland Sims, Sycamore Township, and Mason belong to the Northeast Fire Collaborative. We do joint training that takes those companies that will respond to an emergency, trains them all the same way. We have the same operating procedures, makes it a more efficient operating emergency scene. Sure. Takes the economies of scale. You only have one instructor teaching 5 fire departments, not 5 instructors trying to put together the same lesson plan, the same thing being taught. we do joint purchasing. I know when we joined the collaborative, and one of the most expensive items that we incur is the protective equipment.
Sure.
It's a high tech. It comes out of the space program from years ago with the fire resistant materials. We saved about 25%.
Wow.
On
That's
that.
A huge saving.
Just going in, instead of Mason saying, what kind of price will you give me for these 50 firefighters, the 5 departments go together and have 350 firefighters. And so they're interested in keeping those accounts and that. So they sharpen their pencil and give us a better rate. Uniforms, you go right on down the line. Medical supplies, we've all gone together, put out for bid, got price agreements with vendors that saved us money, and I would guess that in the 3 years we've probably saved $150,000.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Just on what we would have had to buy, not on something that was an extra. So we've done that. I think we've gotten a better response, provided a better service, we've reduced the cost to the citizens, reduced the expenditures. We would have, probably been in a lot more difficult situation, having to make a lot more difficult decisions on what services to provide and that if we hadn't come across
Save that money
some of those.
in that area.
Sure.
Right.
We've done some partnerships with the community. Chief was talking about the smoke detector program. We fund that through a donation from the American Legion. It's not a tax dollar expenditure. We work on our CPR program, smoke detector program, the batteries, and that being funded by private donations that people give us, and we use that for some outreach into the community. We've done a number of things. Looked at another big expense coming up are the air tanks, air masks that they put on. We would have been in line next year to spend maybe $250,000 or more to replace those. The tanks themselves expire from the Department of Transportation, have a lifespan on those. We've doing some due diligence up front in getting prepared to try to understand where we might go, what we might be looking for to replace that. Contacting vendors, found that they had some air tanks that we could buy for about 1/3 of the cost.
Wow.
And so we made the decision, along with some other factors, that on the updating of the standards, to go ahead and just replace the tanks and keep the same SCBAs for a while, the same harness and regulators and that, to save the department, probably $120,000, $150,000.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Some of the other things that we've done, we've got a CPR program that as an outreach to the community. We've taken some of the volunteers from the CERT team, the city's CERT team, Citizen Emergency Response Team. They're volunteers. They were interested. Some of them had a background. They were interested in teaching CPR to the community. So we've combined that team of people from the volunteers and the firefighter paramedics to be the cadre of group that teaches the citizens. We offer every other month a program that they can sign up through Centerpoint, through the community center's Centerpoint. You're looking at swim lessons. You may find in there free CPR lessons for Mason citizens, and we encourage them. Time's important when emergency happens.
Absolutely.
And we'd like to give everyone an opportunity to learn how to
That's great.
perform
And
CPR.
is there a cost involved in those?
No.
Which is very unusual. The city, that's very unusual, because a lot of communities have gone to, for that training, a cost basis, because they have to cover the personnel teaching the class. So that's wonderful. You had the CERT the combination of all these people doing it together.
Do it.
Another cost-saving measure that you've
yes.
done.
If it is a certified program through American Heart Association, we use that, again, the money from the American Legion to pay for the cards for the people. There's a new program that's coming out from the American Heart that's Anytime CPR. It's kind of it was published or marketed earlier as Family and Friends CPR.
Great.
We're going to be trying to get that out into the community with groups. It's a video, has a small mannequin to practice the compressions. We think we can probably train 3,000 people this next year.
Wow,
in that.
that's a lot of people.
And it's a very simple, very easy to understand part of it. It's a compression only. It's not the respirations that people seem to be a little bit hesitant to, get involved with.
Sure.
So we're working to get that out and get that out in the community.
Great, thank you, Chief. One of the things that we had talked a little bit earlier about was you had brought this map in to explain how the responses are in zones. And we had talked a little bit about a lot of communities are going into co-ops or cooperating with neighboring communities so that you can get a first response there if one of your firehouses has another call somewhere else. So could you talk a little bit, Craig, could you talk a little bit about what's going on in Mason and the area of cooperation between communities and the City of Mason?
Sure. Well, I think cooperation with that the City of Mason has taken on not only has focused on the actual response, but cooperation has also been key for us in prevention efforts, as well as training our personnel. We share those responsibilities, and you basically get a cost savings because of the economies at scale.
Sure.
So focusing on the response piece of this is what we did is we looked at the City of Mason, the map of Mason, and the city itself is divided into response zones. And this map, each zone is differentiated by the different colors.
Okay.
So with Mason having 2 fire stations, we have one essentially in the north area of the city and one station in the south area of the city. And these zones all have a response time associated with them, an average response time. So what we did is we looked at our surrounding area. Deerfield Township surrounds Mason, as well as we have some other stations that are very close to the borders of Mason. Okay. So with our partners and partnering with other agencies, what we did is we looked at the zones and said, there are certain areas of the city, especially over here in the east side of the city, that there is a station that is closer than Mason, than a Mason station. So Deerfield has a station in this area here that can service a zone and first respond to that zone and be there quicker than a Mason station. Okay. So we set up the zones to, when there is a call in that zone, Deerfield, their station is going to be dispatched first.
Wonderful.
Now, if there's other resources needed, Mason's going to respond, as well as other stations. It just depends on the type of
incident. The goal is to get there quickly and get there right within a certain amount of time.
That is correct. Okay. We want to get the closest responder to the resident or to the person that needs the help.
Great.
We've also looked at our southern area of the city and we do have a station down there, but when that station is busy on another call or they're training somewhere else in the city, we'll cooperate with other agencies like Deerfield, for example, and have their station that's close to this area of the city to respond. Or if Station 52, for example, is on another call, instead of having to pull a Mason station from the north end, we just the call rolls over to Deerfield, and their station, who is closer, will respond to the incident.
And I think it's probably important that a lot of citizens don't know all of our calls, when they call 911, go to Warren County.
Okay.
So Mason, Deerfield, Lebanon, or South Lebanon, Union Township, Hamilton Township, they're all dispatched by the same place.
Okay.
And so in the computer, each one of these zones has a running order, and the first firehouse is 52s, the second one may be 56s, which is Deerfield, the third one 51s, which is Mason. And the computer automatically knows I need a medic for that call.
Okay.
52s is out on a run, the next medic is 56s, Deerfield Township, and it just happens like that. It's not being moved back and forth from one person to another. They put in the call, they hit the button, the computer knows what order things are supposed to happen at that address and picks the quickest one just in a split second.
Wow.
Puts it up there, the tones go out, puts it up on the screen for the dispatcher to see. The tones go out to the firehouse and they're dispatched. So it's seamless to the caller, it's seamless to the citizen getting the service, and it's as quick to get one as the other, depending on who's the closest. And the idea is to get the best service to the person, and a lot of times that is solely based on time.
Sure, absolutely. So, when you look at a system like this too now, you're not just only cooperating though with Deerfield Township, right? There's other communities
Right.
that Mason adjoins, so you're working that out too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as also, there would be some communities in Hamilton County too, right? Or is it more Butler?
No, it's when there's a specifically like a fire, for
Right.
example, in Mason, it requires a lot of resources.
Right.
And in order to get those resources, we have to pull from several communities because
Okay.
Mason has only 2 stations.
Right.
And depending where the incident is in the city, again, is going to drive where we're pulling the resources from. For example, we pull resources from Hamilton County, like the Loveland Sims.
Okay.
Sharonville, Blue
I was going to say, yeah,
Ash,
Sharonville is pretty
Sycamore.
close.
Sycamore,
North
yep.
Sycamore.
Sure. Over areas west in the city, we're going to pull maybe some from Hamilton County again, but Westchester,
Right.
Liberty, the northern area of the city, we're going to need the help from other Warren County departments because that's who's north of the city or is Warren County. Turtle Creek, Lebanon, or the city of Lebanon. When you start to go towards the east side of the city, we're going to need assistance from, again, Deerfield,
Right.
Union Township, South Lebanon, Hamilton Township, and it really depends on the type of incident. And when it's a structure fire,
Right.
a house on fire, a business on fire, it requires lots of people to get the critical tasks completed, and we have to rely on mutual aid in order to achieve that.
Absolutely. Now, Chief, how long have you been in Mason?
It'll be 5 years in
5 years.
December.
And what changes have you seen taking place?
Well, I think the cooperation amongst the departments, it was the second year I was here, we started trying to get the mutual aid more seamless. We had mutual aid. We depended on each other. We weren't anywhere close to being big enough to not, but to do the automatic aid into the first into Mason, in that area out there in Kings Mill, their fire station, you can see, from some of that area, as I told them, it doesn't pass the laugh test of why we don't do that. How do we talk to anybody and claim that we're trying to provide the best service to them, but we don't want to send the resources that are closer to them and to help them a little bit faster. So that, I think, obviously us getting involved in the Northeast Fire Collaborative, I don't think there was really a lot of cooperation or Mason and those departments had done a lot together, even though we end up at the same emergency scenes. So I think the training, we did training with Deerfield, during before I got here, but I think we've expanded it and tried to utilize that to the maximum benefit of the citizen and getting the best product, the best result for them on the emergency scene that we can.
And as we look into the future, what kind of changes do you think will take place?
That's a good question. I think everything is open. I don't think you close the door to anything. You see what we obviously are the people who make the policy happen, and whether that's combining departments into more of a regional area where you maybe put multiple departments together to try to drive some economies of scale in that. It's difficult to say. There's a lot of competing interest, and as far as what kind of services they bring. I mean, Deerfield Township's got 3 stations for 18 square miles. Turtle Creek has 3 stations for 70 square miles. So there's the populations are,
changing,
there's so you can't go into it and say there's a cookie cutter way of providing the service, and the communities have to figure out how to fund that, and how you're going to put that all together. But we look for, like I said, it's kind of a day in, day out. When we start going down a path to replace something, buy something new, we all kind of step back and sit back and say, where are we going? Is this the best way? Is there another way? Is there an opportunity here to partner with somebody, to do it a little bit different that'll get a better bang for the buck, provide a better service, look to the future to where we may be going and work something better out.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to make sure that we've covered everything that we wanted to. I think it's really important, too, that I don't know if you want to give a website information or phone number for the residents if they want any more information about Fire Prevention Week. Do you want to give that to the residents? Do they just go to Imagine Mason? Or where would they go to get more information about Fire Prevention Week?
Sure. There's a couple of avenues to get information. First will be the City of Mason website. It's www.imaginemason.org.
Okay.
Secondly, they are welcome to call the fire station.
Great.
And they can call our administrative line at 513-229-8540.
Okay.
And they can leave a message if nobody answers the phone. Thirdly, they're welcome to stop by the fire station.
Great.
Ask questions. I know that we have scheduled open houses, but if the doors are open, the firefighters are there, people are welcome to stop by and visit anytime.
Well, I thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. This has been very informative, and I can tell you, boy, the residents of Mason should be very grateful that they've got people like you,
Thank you.
At the head and understanding, where the city's going in the future and keeping everybody safe. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
If you're a community leader and interested in being on Community Report, give us a call here at the ICRC 772-4272.